Let me tell you about the day everything changed. The day when the most advanced civilization in the known galaxy walked into my museum and discovered that humans are absolutely, gloriously, magnificently insane. My name is Jack Reese. I'm a military historian, which is a fancy way of saying I spend my days surrounded by old weapons, dusty uniforms, and enough conspiracy theories to make a tinfoil hat factory look like an amateur operation. The Military History Museum of Washington, D.C. isn't exactly the most exciting place in the world. Most days, my most challenging task is preventing school kids from touching the antique rifles and convincing retired colonels that, no, they cannot donate yet another set of desert camouflage from their personal collection. But this day was different. It started like any other Tuesday. I was reorganizing a display of Vietnam-era M16 rifles when the museum's security system pinged with an unusual alert. Now, in most museums, an unusual alert means someone's trying to touch an artifact or a fire alarm is being temperamental. In my museum, with its extensive collection of global military history, an unusual alert could mean anything from a vintage grenade deciding to finally give up its decades-long commitment to not exploding, to a particularly enthusiastic reenactor getting two method. The alert came from the front entrance. Multiple unregistered biological signatures, unusual energy readings, and a diplomatic clearance code that looked like it had been run through enough encryption to make a quantum computer sweat. Jack Reese to the front desk came the intercom announcement. Unusual visitors. Unusual was an understatement. 3 beings stood in the museum's grand entrance hall. They were tall, roughly 7 feet each, with skin that seemed to shimmer between metallic silver and a soft blue, depending on how the light hit them. Their bodies were sleek, almost too perfect, like they'd been designed by an engineer who considered organic imperfection a personal failure. Each wore what appeared to be a form-fitting uniform that looked less like clothing and more like a second skin made of some material that was probably more advanced than anything humans had invented in the last century. The lead alien, at least, I assumed they were the leader based on the slightly more intricate pattern of geometric lines running across their uniform, stepped forward. "We are the caloric diplomatic envoy," they announced, their voice a perfect blend of musical tones that somehow translated directly into English in my brain. Translator tech. Always impressive. I looked down at my wrinkled khaki cargo pants, my vintage t-shirt featuring a faded image of an A-10 Warthog, and my well-worn museum ID badge. Compared to these beings, I looked like I'd been pulled from a clearance rack at a thrift store. "Jack Reese," I responded, extending a hand in what I hoped was a professionally casual gesture. The lead alien stared at my hand for a moment before performing what I can only describe as a complicated shoulder twitch that I was pretty sure was their version of a handshake. "We have come to understand," the alien said, their eyes, if you could call those multifaceted, shifting orbs, eyes scanning the weapon displays surrounding us, "why your species continues to utilize such primitive combat technologies." I couldn't help it. I laughed. Not a polite chuckle. Not a diplomatic chortle. A full, genuine, slightly maniacal laugh that echoed through the museum's marble halls. The aliens did not laugh back. Shocking, I know. "Primitive," I repeated, wiping a tear from my eye. "Oh, you have no idea what you're in for." Little did they know, they had just walked into the most dangerous museum in the galaxy, and I was about to give them a history lesson they would never forget. The lead alien, who I'd mentally nicknamed Captain Shiny, was not amused by my laughter. Their multifaceted eyes narrowed in a way that suggested they were more accustomed to being taken seriously than being laughed at. "Your weapons technology is approximately 1,247 generations behind the standard galactic combat protocols," they stated, pulling what looked like a holographic display from a wrist-mounted device. Projected before us was a timeline of weapon development that made human military history look like a toddler's finger painting compared to their cosmic engineering. I raised an eyebrow. "Generations, huh? And how many actual combat scenarios have your advanced civilizations been in recently?" The second alien, slightly shorter, with a pattern of geometric lines that looked like they were having an existential crisis about their uniform's design, shifted uncomfortably. Captain Shiny's multifaceted eyes flickered in what I was starting to recognize as their version of a confused blink. "We have diplomatic resolution protocols," they responded, as if that explained everything. "Right," I said, dragging out the word. Because nothing says conflict resolution like having technology so advanced you've never actually had to use it in a real fight. I walked over to a display case containing an original M1 Garand rifle. The weapon was a relic, a piece of mid-20th century engineering that most modern militaries would consider a museum piece, which, technically, it was. See this? I tapped the glass. This rifle has a story. Every scratch, every worn edge means something. Your weapons look like they came out of a sterilized factory. Ours have character. The aliens exchanged a look that suggested they were simultaneously fascinated and deeply concerned. Probably more concerned. We wish to understand, Captain Shiny declared. Why do humans persist with chemical propulsion and metallic projectile systems when quantum phase energy weapons are standard across known civilizations? I grinned. Oh, this was going to be fun. Because sometimes I said the most elegant solution isn't the most complicated one. Sometimes it's the one that works when everything else fails. Little did they know I was about to take them on a journey through human military innovation that would challenge everything they thought they knew about technological superiority. Primitive weapons? We were about to redefine the entire concept of primitive. The diplomatic mission was about to get very, very interesting. The conference room was not designed for alien diplomats. The standard-issue government-grade chairs, which had survived countless bureaucratic meetings, looked comically small beneath the towering alien frames. I'd commandeered a projector and was about to give the most important presentation of my career. Exhibit O, I announced, clicking to the first slide. Why humans are the universe's most dangerous weapons innovators. Captain Shiny, whose actual diplomatic title was something that sounded like a combination of a throat clear and a mathematical equation, leaned forward. The other two aliens shifted, their shimmering skin catching the fluorescent lights in a way that made them look like walking disco balls. Humans don't just create weapons, I explained. We create solutions to problems that haven't even happened yet. The first slide showed a collection of seemingly unrelated items: a paperclip, a zip tie, a roll of duct tape, and an old Swiss Army knife. These aren't just tools, I continued. These are proof that humans can turn anything into a weapon. MacGyver wasn't a TV character. He was a documentary. The shortest alien, who I'd mentally nicknamed Sparkle Jr., made a sound that might have been a question or might have been a mild electrical short circuit. I clicked to the next slide. Battlefield innovations throughout human history began scrolling. See, most species design weapons for specific purposes. Humans, we design weapons and then discover 17 uses we never intended. An image of an Alaska 47 appeared. The Alaska 47, originally designed in 1947 by Mikhail Kalashnikov, intended as a military rifle. Actual uses: military conflicts, hunting, agricultural pest control, mountain rescue equipment, and impromptu construction tool. The aliens looked bewildered. Your weapons have one function, I explained. Ours have infinite potential. A human looks at a tool and thinks, what can I do with this, not what was this designed to do? I showed them images of sailors using a .50 caliber machine gun to cook fish during World War II, helicopter pilots using M16 rifle butts to break ice on windshields, soldiers using entrenching tools as makeshift weapons, cooking implements, and emergency medical devices. Adaptability, I said, is our true weapon. Captain Shiny's multifaceted eyes swirled in what I was beginning to recognize as confusion. But efficiency suggests singular purpose. I laughed. Efficiency? We're the species that invented duct tape. Our entire technological philosophy is, if it doesn't work, hit it harder or add more tape. The presentation continued. Each slide demonstrated another unexpected human innovation: a potato gun that could be a scientific instrument, a launching device, or an agricultural tool. Night vision technology born from military research, now used in everything from wildlife conservation to medical imaging. We don't just make weapons, I concluded. We make possibilities. The aliens looked simultaneously terrified and fascinated. And we were just getting started. I could tell the aliens were skeptical. Skeptical but intrigued. And when diplomatic aliens get intrigued, things get complicated fast. A demonstration, Captain Shiny announced. Not a request, a declaration. The museum's basement storage area was not designed for interstellar diplomatic challenges. Rows of carefully preserved military artifacts surrounded us, everything from Revolutionary War muskets to Cold War-era missile components. The aliens looked like they'd just walked into a particularly dangerous antique shop. "We will observe a comparative weapons assessment," Sparkle Jr. stated. Their translator device made it sound like they were reading from an extremely dry technical manual. I grinned. Oh, this was going to be good. They produced a device that looked like something Apple would design if Steve Jobs had been an alien, sleek, impossibly thin, with surfaces that seemed to shift and change even as I looked at them. "This is our standard issue personal defense module," Captain Shiny explained. "It can neutralize biological threats across 17 different electromagnetic spectrums, calculate potential threat trajectories in 0.03 nanoseconds, and has a maximum effective range of..." I pulled out a standard issue Colt 1911 pistol from a nearby display case. The aliens stopped talking. ".45 caliber," I said, holding up the weapon. "Designed in 1911. Unchanged for over a century. Effective range about 50 meters. Stopping power legendary." Sparkle Jr.'s translator device made a sound that might have been a nervous cough. The demonstration began with a series of increasingly ridiculous challenges. The aliens wanted to prove the superiority of their quantum phase energy weapon. I wanted to show them the beautiful, brutal simplicity of human engineering. First, test precision targeting. Their weapon created a holographic targeting grid, calculated wind resistance, atmospheric density, and probably the emotional state of the target. It could theoretically hit a target from kilometers away with molecular-level precision. I picked up an old M1 Garand and hit a target 300 meters away. First shot. No computer assistance, just human skill. The aliens looked bewildered. Second test, environmental adaptability. Their weapon required a specific range of temperature, humidity, and electromagnetic conditions to function. I demonstrated the Glock 17, a pistol that had been fired in deserts, Arctic conditions, underwater, and probably several environments that hadn't been invented yet. "Our weapons," I explained, "don't need a user manual. They need a human." The third test was when things got truly interesting. The aliens wanted to demonstrate the non-lethal capabilities of their advanced technology. They could, theoretically, incapacitate a target with minimal physiological damage. I brought out something special. A Vietnam-era M79 grenade launcher. "Non-lethal?" I asked. "Watch this." What followed was a demonstration of human improvisational skills that would become legendary in diplomatic circles. A series of modifications, some duct tape, and a few modifications that probably violated several international weapons protocols, and I had turned the grenade launcher into a multi-purpose tool that could launch medical supply packages, create emergency shelters, signal rescue teams, potentially start a campfire. The aliens' faces, if you could call those shimmering, multifaceted surfaces faces, went through what I can only describe as the alien equivalent of complete mental shutdown. "Adaptability," I repeated, "is our true weapon." Sparkle Jr.'s translator made a sound that might have been a whimper. The museum's main exhibition hall had transformed into something between a diplomatic summit and a bizarre military science fair. Display cases of historical weapons surrounded us like silent witnesses to an interrogation that was rapidly spiraling out of control. "Explain," Captain Shiny demanded. The translator device made it sound like a cross between a legal deposition and a temper tantrum. I pulled out a series of documents. Military reports, scientific studies, classified research that I probably shouldn't have had access to, but museum curators have interesting connections. "The real secret," I said, "isn't about the weapons. It's about why we keep them." The aliens leaned in. Literally, their bodies seemed to elongate, creating a collective posture of intense curiosity that would have been comical if it wasn't so unsettling. I explained the core of human military innovation. Most galactic civilizations designed weapons of ultimate precision. Weapons that could eliminate threats with mathematical perfection. Weapons that required extensive training, complex maintenance, and operated within strict parameters. Humans did something different. "We designed for chaos," I said. "Our weapons aren't just tools. They're adaptable systems that work when everything goes wrong." I showed them research documenting how human military technology was consistently developed with one fundamental principle: operate effectively under the worst possible conditions. A quantum laser might fail if atmospheric conditions were slightly off. An advanced energy weapon could be rendered useless by unexpected electromagnetic interference. A human rifle? It would work if you dropped it in mud, sand, water. It would work if it was cold, hot, wet, or covered in dust. The classified documents revealed something even more startling. Human military research wasn't just about creating weapons. It was about creating systems that could survive and adapt when all technological sophistication failed. Most species, I explained, design weapons to be perfect. We design weapons to be survivors. The demonstration moved to a series of extreme condition tests: weapons submerged in salt water, buried in sand, exposed to extreme temperature variations. The human-designed firearms consistently outperformed the alien technology. Sparkle Jr. made a sound that might have been a mix between a sob and a mathematical equation. But why? Captain Shiny asked. The translator made it sound like a genuine philosophical query. I smiled. The real punchline was coming. Because humans understand something fundamental about conflict, I said. Technology fails, systems collapse, but adaptation always survives. The aliens looked like they were having an existential crisis. Which honestly was kind of the point. We weren't just showing them weapons. We were showing them a philosophy. A way of thinking that had allowed a relatively young species to become a force that other civilizations both feared and respected. The diplomatic mission was about to get very, very interesting. The silence that followed was epic. Not the dramatic movie silence. This was the kind of silence that makes physicists wonder if sound itself has gone into shock. Captain Shiny, whose diplomatic composure had completely evaporated, finally spoke. We require additional context. I leaned back in a chair that was definitely not rated for alien weight distribution. Additional context is human, for we're about to blow your mind. The museum's display lights caught the aliens' shimmering skin, making them look like walking disco balls experiencing an existential crisis, which honestly wasn't far from the truth. Your weapons are not just tools, Sparkle Jr. said. Their translator making it sound like a mathematical revelation. They are philosophical statements. Bingo, I said, popping the O in a way that would make any sarcastic communication professor proud. I walked them through the final revelation. Human military innovation wasn't about creating the most advanced weapon. It was about creating something that could work when everything else failed, when computers crashed, when precision technology became useless, when the universe decided to throw its most ridiculous challenges. We don't just make weapons, I explained. We make survival systems. The aliens looked like they were trying to recompile their entire understanding of technological development. So your primitive projectile technologies, Captain Shiny started, are actually highly sophisticated adaptive systems. I gave them a thumbs up. Welcome to humanity. We turn lemons into weapons, and then use those weapons to make lemonade, possibly while fighting off an invasion. As the diplomatic team prepared to leave, I caught a glimpse of something in their multifaceted eyes. Not just confusion, not just respect. Pure, unadulterated terror. Mission accomplished. The museum's unexpected diplomatic incident report would be legendary. And me, I'd just explained to an entire alien civilization why humans were the most dangerous species in the known universe. All in a day's work for a military historian.